Welcome to the Panic Button. I'm Nina.
I'm Jessie.
And today we're reacting to Short Fat Otaku. Who? Exactly. I just learned about this content creator. He posted a video calling transing the tomboy. And this is totally for us because we are and grew up tomboys.
Because we are and were and grew up tomboys.
Exactly.
If you've been hanging around right-wing Twitter, I know that you've seen this TikTok. Gosh, this sounds like how I start almost every video nowadays. Twitter and TikTok. We truly are in the decline. Oh well, let's watch it.
Good morning, y'all. Quick update on the house, because I've been pretty terrible about giving y'all these. We took a little break for noodling season and to put out boxes. Now that it's dried in, we can do it at our own pace. But here she is. We're going to stain all that wood a darker brown, and the shutters, when we get that on, we'll have handrails, of course. There's the carport over there. Quick run through. All these trusses are going to be exposed, and we're going to have old tin in the ceiling. Got Daddy and Paul up there working on a wall we're going to put up for the upstairs office. And we got Def Leppard playing in the background, of course. Back porch, beautiful view. And then the walkway to the carport. I'll try to be better about these, but you can also use my code HANNAH25 for 25% off We the People holsters. Hope y'all have a good one.
I don't really know who this woman is. Her name's Hannah Barron. She seems to be some type of TikTok influencer based on her ad spot at the end. But this is just a really normal video, isn't it? She's building a house and she's giving her fans an update on it. This went viral on Twitter with the caption, "This accent needs to be illegal, and women should be banned from doing manual labor like this. There is nothing feminine about American women. American women are literally men." The person giving this white hot take is Samira Khan. A quick flip through her online presence shows that she's kind of cut from the same cloth as Ann Coulter. She's very pro-Trump, very anti-globalist, and very much of the opinion that America's geopolitical enemies, Russia and China, are not actually enemies. Rather, they're authoritarian states that America should emulate.
I don't think there's a problem if women want to do manual labor. It's a problem to force women to do manual labor. But I don't think it's a problem if women want to.
Nope.
I don't think, even at that, I've heard of some very masculine women still being with men.
Oh, yeah.
I remember this one guy told me that his dad came over while his girlfriend was building something in the garage. And his dad was like, "Are you sure you're not with a lesbian?" And he was like, "Nah, we're happy." So, I mean, like, just because you like to build things or you're hands-on like that doesn't make you less of a woman.
The real enemy, in her view, are the Democrats at home. She's also very feminine, but in a neo-traditionalist way. There's no way this woman would ever be a trad wife, but she's no tomboy either. She seems to have the opinion that being a trophy wife to a high-status man is the ultimate accomplishment for a woman. There's no actual traditionalism here. There's no kids, no wifely duties, nothing like that. But she's also not some sort of progressive, sexually open degenerate either. She seems content with being arm candy. And that's fine, you do you. I'm just describing where she's coming from. Personally, though, I'm not a fan of the plastic look. Now, Samira Khan got a shit ton of pushback from not only the tomboy lovers out there, but the Southern woman lovers. She reacted by calling them all gay. In her view, the guys that like Hannah Barron can't be straight men because they enjoy masculine women doing masculine things. But it wasn't all pushback. There were some right-leaning people, mainly in the red pill manosphere space, who agreed with her. For them, a proper woman isn't rough and tumble, she's feminine. And they echoed the same sentiment. Men who like tomboys are gay. But the pushback kept rolling in, and in response, Samira turned the entire thing into a long thread detailing her position. Lebanese women are literally perfect, and they're actually feminine, unlike estrogen-deficient American women who hold the record for the highest testosterone levels in the world. This post included a couple of videos of a very made-up woman, presumably someone Lebanese, getting ready for her wedding. This might actually be Samira, I can't tell. Doesn't really matter. High-value American men should become passport bros. Don't they deserve better than the filth they're limited to in their own country? Do you agree or disagree? What are your thoughts? This post included a video of Hannah in the water showing off a fish that she caught. Samira then said Melania Trump is the ideal, and posted a poll asking which women are the most physically attractive. When the American women won that,
She sounds like a red pill chick.
Yeah, it seems like she's definitely in that arc. This post, or like that'd be the equivalent of Pearl saying, "Well, white ginger women are the best because A, B, C, and D," and then she'd be posting white gingers at weddings and stuff. Isn't that the same as saying that Lebanese women are the most attractive?
If Lebanese women were the most attractive, why did she have to put so much shit in and on her face? Because you ain't attractive. You ain't attractive. Because if you were, you wouldn't need all of this. And your lips blown up like two giant balloons.
Personally, I'm more attracted to American women because I'm around American women. I'm not saying any of these other women aren't attractive, normally speaking. However, the beauty of American is they can be from anywhere. They just were born in America. So you could be into an Eastern European woman who was born in America. You know what I mean?
I think looks on a woman are the least of your problems. Let's make sure she has a vagina first.
These days, right?
Because of course they would. She replied by saying, "Liberate America from tomboy occupation." All the straight men cooming over her in the replies would be embarrassed to be seen with her in public. Imagine her being your date to a formal event. Yikes. She then presented Taylor Hill as the quintessential American beauty. And hey, fair enough, she's a good-looking lady, whoever she is. But there's room for girls like this and girls like Hannah, surely. After all, remember what the patron saint of straight homosexuality said.
Yeah, I just really like girls.
And Samira just kept going with it. I find it very hard to believe that American men genuinely prefer the tomboy to the girly girl. Thoughts? I would love to learn more. It's almost like she's desperately fishing for the response she wants.
Hey, so I grew up in more of a ding 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 area.
Yeah.
They love tomboys out there. You know why? Because they become best friends. You ever heard of muddin'? That's what they love tomboys for. Because tomboys are like, yay, this is fun. And girly girls are like, ew, mud. You know
yeah,
what I
you
mean?
really want to take her body dysmorphic, melted, ultra neoconservative red pill opinion on the world. I don't think so.
But that's why I say, like, you've clearly never lived in a rural area. Because if you had, you'd know that, like, guys in country areas love the tomboy.
What are we supposed to do if we're straight? Tomboys. What, we gotta go trans?
Here's the thing that she's not saying, is that she's mad because she has more of an issue dating than the tomboy. Because the tomboy
Doesn't have to work as hard?
not only doesn't have to work as hard, more guys just want to date the tomboy because they're like one of the guys, but they're not. They're a woman still.
Yeah.
But they can get along easier with them. They have similar interests. She probably likes games and outdoors stuff, which a lot of guys like. And so if you have a partner that likes the things you like and that you can converse with, then it's moving and you love it. Do you think that she thinks that women who go in the army are tomboys?
Absolutely.
So then would my mother inherently be a tomboy by her logic, and then therefore my father's gay, like she said?
Yeah. Yeah. To say that guys are gay if they like tomboys,
It's degrading to gay men.
sometimes I think that these women are just retarded as fuck.
It's like saying a lesbian's straight because she likes butches.
They just like that more masculine, tomboyish woman. It just all depends on how masculine, because there's a scale when it comes to lesbians.
Right. And
But
also,
normally, straight tomboys who are rough and tumble aren't exceedingly masculine. Those are usually the lesbians.
they still have a feminine side to them.
Exactly. There's always a cutoff.
She did eventually get that response from some people, though. One of the Red Pillar men posted a few more Hannah clips with captions in agreement with Samira. Tomboys are not hot. I repeat, tomboys are not hot. Attraction to tomboys is homosexuality, and women shouldn't be working outside. What kind of man lets his woman work outside like a man?
Brain dead.
You tell me that's a man. You tell me whoever's attracted to that is gay. That's a
He's
woman.
just angry that he finds her attractive and knows he doesn't have a chance, so he's projecting his inadequacy.
The other problem they have with the tomboys is that they have a level of confidence to them because the people who wear the makeup and do all that, the feminine girly stuff like that, they're usually doing it because they're somewhat insecure.
Very.
Or they care a lot about materialistic things. But that usually still spawns from insecurity.
Yeah.
The tomboy is secure because they're a tomboy. Like, even at my worst, I wasn't, like, super secure, but I was secure in the fact that, like, just because I'm a tomboy doesn't make me not a woman. Like,
You were secure in your femininity.
Yeah, because I could wear T-shirts and jeans to school.
You
and
still
no
know
one,
you're a woman.
No one ever would call me a dude.
Yeah, this guy is quite literally an Andrew Tate wannabe. It's always interesting to me to see two different sections of a big tent political movement like the right fight with each other over one specific topic they disagree on. This time, it's blue-collar ruralites versus city-dwelling red pillars. They'll likely vote the same way in the end, but they have vastly different values. Honestly, this whole discourse reminds me of the Sargon academic agent tomboy abs thing from a couple of years ago. There is probably something to their position, frankly. There's a big difference between a masculine man wanting a tomboy because she's a capable partner, and a man feminizing himself in prostration towards a masculinized woman. For some small percentage of the male population, that'll work out just fine. But most men don't actually want to be women, and a culture that funnels them towards a more feminine position is likely a culture they'll rebel against. It's just not in their nature. The extreme end of that anti-tomboy position, though, is obviously too far. Look at what the red pill community is promoting in their desperate attempt to not be feminine. Wanting a strong woman is homosexuality. Yeah, okay, this is basic anti-tomboy stuff. Same with the whole liking Asian women is gay thing. That's pretty common. Eating out your girlfriend is gay because you're placing yourself in a feminine position by serving her.
Okay, that one pisses me off. That one pisses me off.
Yeah,
Double standards.
It's about reciprocation.
It's about having respect for your partner as well.
Every guy I've ever talked to and respected has completely said he goes down on girls.
Well, yeah, unless you just don't want her to ever be pleased, in which case it looks worse on you than her.
Actually, the men that I've seen in my life and respected, they've been like, that woman doesn't even need to touch me. I'll do it for her. Whatever she wants, I'll do. Like
I find it quite homosexual when men don't want to do that. Unless it's like some religious thing, then I guess that's fine or whatever. I think it's weird.
I will say, if it's not the person or if they don't take care of themselves, I can understand not wanting to do it. But then you shouldn't be with that person.
If you don't want to please your partner, then maybe you should exit.
I will say that the taste ain't for everyone, I'm sure.
Well, I'm sure neither are balls and dick.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
But some ladies like it, and some guys do too.
Here's my thing, man. If you don't go down on her, she has every right not to go down on you. And then it's a fair relationship. That's a fair relationship.
Fair.
Yeah, if it's all just gonna be
me.
Well, if it's no oral, then it's no oral. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's gotta be no oral across the board, unless like one person really just wants to do it. You know, like, but you gotta like level that playing field.
Celebrating your engagement and your love for your new fiancé on social media is gay because it's too soft to be happy. A man having sex with too many women is gay because, get this, you eventually get tired of pussy and you have to explore. Yes, we are at the point where having sex with women is gay, fellas. Wait a minute, eating pasta on a date is gay? Hannah herself replied to all of this with a video outlining that don't give a fuck country quasi-libertarian ethic that we all basically expected her to have.
Good morning, y'all. I don't have a Twitter. I did at one point, but my account got removed for whatever reason, and I just hadn't got around to making another account. But apparently I'm trending on Twitter right now because some girl said that my accent should be illegal. Women shouldn't do manual labor. What else did she say? American women are basically men, and she just said that I was not feminine. Ooh. And I would tell y'all this girl's name, but I can't remember it because I don't have a clue who she is. So that should tell you how relevant this person is. But I just think it's hilarious because I grew up as the weird kid in high school who hunted and fished too much because back then it wasn't cool for women to hunt or fish or the whole country lifestyle. And I'm so proud of all the women in the outdoors now who are making that more cool or popular. So proud of us. I think we're doing great. But I've been helping Dad build houses since I was 15. When I was a senior in high school, I taught kids how to weld in ag class. So I've done, not manual labor. When I think of manual labor, I think of what my dad does. I'm nowhere near that. I just help as much as I can, and I try. And it's fun. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of blue-collar women out there who are also feminine. And so I just think that you should embrace your own individuality. You should be yourself. And don't worry about what anybody else said, because these folks talking about me and think they're going to offend me, that ship sailed a long time ago. I've been getting picked on my whole life. I grew up around men. Well, so don't be scared to build your own box and don't try to fit in anybody else's. Be your own person and you'll be happier in the long run because of that. And don't worry about what anybody else has to say. Hope y'all have a good one. Appreciate y'all.
Ironically enough, Hannah's position here is the individualist liberal one, despite being a rural conservative herself. And she's taking it up against Samira, who, while being very right-wing politically, lives a more modern lifestyle, living in the big city, not having kids or being a homemaker. When liberalism itself becomes the dominant culture being conserved by the conservatives, some strange political developments begin to occur. We all already know the more obvious one. Leftoids radicalize themselves off a cliff in a desperate attempt to never agree with those dreaded conservatives. But we're seeing a similar effect happen to the rightoids as well, where they claim that the cuck-servatives only serve to codify the gains of the progressive movement into the traditional canon. As a result, some of these rightoids abandon conservatism in favor of other ideologies, and the subsequent new right tends to deform itself based on this rejection of their own culture. Where this new right goes from this point is anyone's guess. They have open to them various flavors of fascism or post-fascism, monarchism or neo-reaction,
So what do you feel about what she said?
I think she's right about everything.
I think she is too. And like I said, I grew up in that area where most girls were hunting and fishing anyways.
Oh, you mean she was close with her family?
So she grew up in a wooded area, probably by some lakes or rivers, and she got to go out with her family and do fishing stuff. It doesn't make you less of a woman. In fact, it probably makes you a little better off, because if anything does happen, at least you have a good idea how to start protecting yourself and providing for yourself.
She is more capable of getting pretty much any man she wants. And
when women are like, I don't need no man, she doesn't.
And because of that, women are angry and lashing out at her. One of the main reasons why, it's because she's confident in who she is. Nothing is more... Okay, there are a lot of things that are miserable when you date a woman. But one of them is when they are so insecure within themselves that they project.
That's
You
what
know
a
what
lot
I
of
mean?
this is, yeah.
And that's what a lot of this is. And she's just letting it roll off her shoulders, right? Because she's,
Happy.
yeah, and she knows who she is. And these women are just going nuts because they wish they could be her, and because they can't, they have to go for the low-hanging fruit.
That's the other thing, is she can get her pick of the crop.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't depend on a man. She hasn't mentioned having a man besides her father around.
Yeah, but she's also not the kind of feminist who'll be like, don't open the door for me. She'd probably
Right.
think, well, thank you very much.
Yes, exactly.
Open the door for me.
Be yourself, be nice, treat other people the way you want to be treated, etc.,
Yeah.
etc.
That Southern class.
Her passion's outdoorsy stuff. You love music. Everyone's got their thing.
But you know what, those Southern women, they appreciate the chivalry of a Southern man.
I just appreciate kindness from anyone. You know what I mean?
I'm talking about the
But her southern,
women.
yes, her
That's
southern
usually
nature.
how they grew up.
Her southern nature shows for sure.
Yeah.
If the apocalypse happens, she's got this shit. She can get some food, start the fire, cook it for you.
Where they claim that the cuck-servatives only serve to codify the gains of the progressive movement into the traditional canon. As a result, some of these rightoids abandon conservatism in favor of other ideologies, and the subsequent new right tends to deform itself based on this rejection of their own culture. Where this new right goes from this point is anyone's guess. They have open to them various flavors of fascism or post-fascism, monarchism or neo-reaction, libertarianism or just basic anti-globalist sentiment. I don't mean to imply that these various movements are all in cahoots with each other. They're definitely not. Rather, they're a set of various post-conservative possibilities that appear once liberal values are codified as conservative. And it's just really interesting to see this play out in an online conflict between a tomboy TikToker and a Twitter trophy wife. And speaking of the left, due to the social media bubble effect, this story mostly didn't cross over into leftist spaces on the internet. This remained primarily a right-wing viral story. But I did see at least one big tweet by a leftist talking about it. Taking HRT and changing your sex will never make you a man, but apparently building a house will? Incredible. This got me thinking. There is a radical, small but growing segment of transactivism that also treats tomboys like they're men. They're well known enough on the internet that you often see memes like this, where tomboys are being hypnotized by global homo into being trans men and transitioning. Save the Tomboys is at least partially a meme, but there is truth to it. The most mask-off takes tend to come from small trans accounts, saying stuff like, tomboys are the grossest fucking aesthetic. Either transition to male or step out. There's also a similar push for femboys to transition too. The idea here is that if you're a tomboy or a femboy, aka a masculine woman or a feminine man, you can't just be those things. Those are necessarily intermediary identities on the path towards transitioning. And if you've stalled out there, you need to be pushed along towards what the transactivists believe to be your true goal. This is all bullshit, of course. You can actually just be a masculine woman or a feminine man. We figured this out back in the 2000s. And it's why my generation's understanding of gender nonconformity is vastly superior to the current one. All the jokes that we told about it aside, we simply left people alone to do what they wanted. Part of this is a media analysis conversation, where tomboy characters are being rewritten or being retranslated to be trans. But it's not just that. In 2019, Vox published an article about how transing the tomboy wasn't happening. That was just a dangerous alt-right conspiracy.
All this shit.
It's not real.
Ugh.
It's not happening.
It's like, can you at least back up that it's not happening with some sort of fact aside from just throwing it off? Using the same excuse.
It's easier to just say no than it is to say no, and here's why.
Because heaven forbid anyone take accountability for anything.
No,
right?
that'd be too difficult, and it would hurt your ego, and we don't want hurt egos here, do we?
No, we don't.
That's why everyone's bending over backwards for other people's feelings.
It's not happening. It's an alt-right talking point. I know exactly what the person who wrote that looked like. Exactly what she looks like.
Named Emma.
Emma?
Oh no, that's a new one. This is a
Taylor.
different one.
There you go, Taylor.
Theory. But in 2020, Prospect Magazine spoke about NHS data in the UK on the topic, finding that there's been a very sharp rise of teenage girls who want to transition, get on testosterone, have their boobs removed, be trans men. Since then, there's been a string of female detransition horror stories. I'm sure you've at least seen a few. A new one seems to go viral like once a month. The stories are all pretty similar. Teenage girl, tomboy, generally in the 14 to 16-year-old range. Sometimes they read online about similar experiences to them and come to believe that they're trans. Sometimes they've been sexually assaulted and come to believe that if they were a man, it wouldn't happen to them. They get fast-tracked to hormones and surgery, often with only a few consultations by very affirming doctors, and then very quickly come to regret their decision. Feminization hormones for male.
Transitioning to a man actually gives male predators easier access to you.
Yes, because then you're forced into male spaces.
Exactly. So that's transitioning to avoid that. You might not get the cat calls, but you're putting yourself in danger. You're just putting yourself in danger.
Yeah, you can't drink with your buddies. You feel safe. I wouldn't feel safe.
Especially when you're that young, you should not be transitioning into a guy. No.
Yeah, I know.
Now you're really in.
They're putting themselves in harm's way, and they think that they're saving themselves from it, which is the sad part.
Yeah, but they're told this by adults.
It's the sad thing. Well, they're not even told it by adults. They make the assumptions.
You make the assumptions. Fuck it, it's everywhere. Every TikTok.
If you're a man, you won't get it. That's an assumption. They make the assumption they'll be safe as a man, but like,
Oh, yeah.
it's not the case.
Affirming doctors, and then very quickly come to regret their decision. Feminization hormones for males are significantly more reversible than masculinization hormones for females. For males, going on estrogen will lower your sex drive, soften your skin, and redistribute some of your body fat, all of which are temporary. Long-term effects only kick in after you've been on HRT for a while, and they can generally be fixed with surgery like breast growth. For females, though, testosterone can result in hair loss on your head, hair gain on your face, and your voice deepening, none of which are reversible after going off the hormones. And there's no real way to fix these issues surgically. In short,
They don't tell you that, though. You know how many news outlets have said that it's completely reversible?
They're
They
going
say
back on
puberty
it.
blockers are reversible, but
The UK just went back on it, didn't they?
But they sometimes will mix hormones with puberty
Puberty
blockers.
blockers.
When they're talking about it, they'll sometimes switch out puberty blocker for hormone and hormone for puberty blocker and say it's reversible. It's like, well, what are you talking about? The hormones or the puberty blockers?
Well, I'm pretty sure the UK just like banned the use of puberty blockers because they've been linked to some cancers and other things that they're unknown about. Mm-hmm. So that's good at least.
I can imagine taking hormones for a guy to look more feminine. It's like a softening. You know, it's like
That's what they
softening.
yeah, that's basically what was said.
And then like taking hormones for a chick is like you're smashing the softness of a woman.
Yeah. And softening something that's hard is easier to get reversed than it is to soften something that was soft that you made hard.
TF is more reversible than FTM, which is why it's incredibly reckless to take a tomboy and tell them that they're actually a trans man. There are so many women out there who were tomboys as a kid, who played with boys' toys and video games, who were rough and tumble, who preferred to be friends with boys in their class rather than girls, who were athletic and energetic, who hated it when their boobs started to come in, not because they wanted to be boys, but because they hated the idea of male sexual attention, or they hated that at least some of their athletic prowess.
Yeah, because your friends are now looking at you like you're a piece of meat. Makes you uncomfortable.
Plus, you were winning against the guys in your grade when you're in elementary school. Once you hit puberty,
everything.
You stop winning. Mm-hmm. You feel less advantaged. They start to get taller. You start to feel shorter.
Start to get hips sometimes. I got hips.
The boobs are what I got them in elementary school. I was in like 5th grade and I was just sprouting. And that was very uncomfortable.
Guy stuff was always more fun for me. The girl stuff was always boring as shit.
I would have been like way up there for the puberty blocker thing because I was young. I was 9 when I got my period, or if not 8, and I got my boobs when I was in 4th and 5th grade. So, like, I would have been a big candidate.
Why don't we just, like, stop giving kids all this medication? You know, unless they really need it. Like, really need
Because
it.
people have pockets they need filled.
So what you're saying is that people need a quick fix, and they are impossible to please, and they're impatient?
No. I'm saying that doctors made it possible, and doctors get paid, and so doctors want to get paid with this new procedure because it's hot and trendy, and people want it. If people were not given the option, if it was really difficult to get, it wouldn't be as big of a problem.
Dude, I was thinking about this today, actually. I was thinking, when I grew up, this wasn't an option. This wasn't a conversation. None of this, right? So I was...
But the people around your age who
Yeah.
severely had gender dysphoria,
Who?
the rare exceptions, like people who would be closer to your age, someone like Buck or someone like Blair. Blair, right?
Oh, shit, I don't know how old Buck is. Blair's 30.
My point is, there had to have been some people in your generation
In my
with
The only time I ever saw transsexuals were on, like, taxi cab confessions, and they were usually cross-dressers.
You're missing the point.
Okay.
You're completely blasting over it with the fact that you don't know anyone from your generation that had it.
Okay.
People in your age demographic transitioned because they had a severe gender dysphoric condition.
Okay.
It wasn't talked about unless you had this severe condition.
Yeah.
It has now been made a big thing that you can get without having the condition, without talking to anyone.
Become cosmetic.
Exactly. And so even though you don't know anyone from your generation who had it, there was someone somewhere who was born in the year you were who transitioned. I guarantee it. And they're happy and they're living their life. However, It's different because not everyone, if everyone in your generation was shown it, you would know way more people.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
That's the thing, is if I would have known about it and people would have talked to me about it and I would have seen it as an option, in my childlike mind, I would have thought that that would be a cool thing to do. I wouldn't understand the long-term repercussions or anything like that.
Even then, they didn't understand the long-term repercussions, but the fact was they
Exactly.
weren't doing it to a mass of people.
No,
and they weren't
no.
making money from it. These were people they were trying to genuinely help. And
Now
the
it's
people-
become commercialized.
The people today, they just want them to shut up. They don't care about helping them.
Yeah, well, they're told to just affirm, that's why.
Exactly. So that's the problem.
Was going to be taken from them by age as their body feminized and their peers' bodies masculinized. None of this means that they were trans, and now that they're adult women, they overwhelmingly report relief that they weren't kids right now, as they most certainly would have been pushed down a trans path by all of the affirming progressive.
That's what we just said!
The people who claim that you can tell that somebody is trans or hell that they're gay from childhood as an outside observer, they're frankly full of shit. Yes, gay or trans people generally report knowing that they were gay or trans at a very young age. But when, say, a little girl is 3 or 4 years old and she decides to play with fire trucks instead of dolls, does that mean that she's actually a trans boy?
No, but see, there are hints when you're young that you are possibly going to sway more towards gay or not, whether you're a girl or a boy.
I don't care. I don't care. If
Everyone knew.
you
My
shouldn't-
mom
you
had a
shouldn't-
hint. She told me she had a hint that I was probably going to be gay.
You can see that your kid has more masculine or more feminine tendencies, but that does not determine their partner in the future. You can have the
Right.
most feminine son, and he can go off to marry a beautiful woman. And she might be a very masculine woman. She might be very dominant in that relationship. And your son might be more submissive. But that's just the nature of it. And maybe he'll go be with a man. But you can't base it off of the toys they're playing with.
No, it's a whole collection of things. It's a whole collection of things. And it's not a guarantee, but I'm saying that there are signs that can point to they're probably going to be gay.
Yes, of course there's signs, but I'm just saying you can't say that those are signs towards, they're personality signs, they're not sexual orientation signs. Once the kid hits, like, middle school, that's when the signs start to mean something. But until then, they're just a kid. My brother
And life is a nightmare. Sorry.
my brother loved to play with baby dolls because he had 2 sisters and he was friends with more girls, but he's very straight.
Yeah, I mean, gay theater kid.
But the point is, like, there's tons of straight men
Yes.
who are involved in theater, for
Yes,
example.
I know a lot of very feminine men.
that are involved, or ballet dancers,
Who are very straight.
or figure
Yes,
skaters.
Patrick Swayze, hey.
And so I don't think feminine or masculine attributes should be put towards kids until, like, for their sexuality. Let them figure it out. I don't know.
Exactly. And Tu Ong Fu, thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. Great movie.
Does that mean that she's actually a trans boy? Does it mean she's a lesbian? Does that mean that she's a tomboy? Or does that mean that she just wants to play with a truck right now? The progressive analysis of the situation, ironically enough, relies on the very gender stereotypes they claim to reject. In actuality, only the kid themselves knows, and they'll only be able to tell you when they're older. Until then, you should just leave them be. I'm bringing all of this up because to me, this looks like the horseshoe effect happening once again. You've got 2 very politically different groups of people who are enemies in all respects. Red pill sex essentialists on the right and radical trans activists on the left, who nonetheless arrive at the same position, that tomboys are actually just men. The big difference between them is that the trans activists demand that all gender nonconformity be brought under the umbrella of their community and activism, erasing the tomboy identity in the process, while the red pillars despise the tomboy for not being feminine enough, and that the tomboy status as a man is based on men's latent homosexual attraction to them. Think back to that list of red pillar anti-tomboy takes from earlier. How many of these also apply to some type of leftist? The whole dating petite Asian girls makes you gay thing is something I've heard many fat activists say. The person who says it's soft to be happy? Well, that brings us back around to Joe Cat's straight homosexuality. An academic agent's take on tomboys sounds almost exactly like progressive logic.
The woman is built like a man. The man is a little snake wimp on his knees in the classic blowjob position, and to cap it all off, she's holding his head. There's even a variant where she calls him little boy. This isn't some one-off response. This is a cultural phenomenon big enough to be a meme. But it should be clear that the tomboy abs is a gateway to fantasies of complete gender reversal. This young man wants to put himself in the position of a teenage girl serving a bigger and more masculine man. He is abdicating.
Teenage girl, who the f*** are you? Calm down.
What
They're saying because abs, gay.
Oh. Abs mean gay. Okay.
The man allows himself to submit to the woman by being on his knees, by staring at her abs. He is then engaging in homosexual fantasies. And you don't want to do that, because once you go homosexual, you never go back.
Ability as a man and asking the woman to be the man in his place. In other words, he is verbalizing his desire to be feminine, to become a woman.
Put simply, both of these camps view tomboys the same way, but the trans activists want to masculinize them, while the red pillars want to feminize them. The issue ultimately is that they're both wrong.
Well, the other difference is that the trans activists want to medicalize us, and the red pillars just want us to wear dresses, smile more.
I think that little clip was really funny because the idea of masculine and feminine got confused with dominant and submissive.
Yeah.
Because you think back to like kings and their knights. They'd kneel down before the king because it's a sign of submission, not a sign of femininity. And so it's really interesting that that's the point you want to give, because I think you can submit as a man and not be a woman and still be dominant.
There's a lot of red pillars that would disagree with you there, but let's leave them for another time.
Tomboys are women. And jokes aside, being a woman who's interested in traditionally masculine things doesn't make you a man. The red pillars are fundamentally incorrect here. Those traditional gender roles, where women did comparatively more leisurely homemaking labor, never truly existed outside of the upper class. Historically, most women helped out on the farm. They did menial labor. They got dirty, just like the men did. Because it didn't matter that men were better at it. It was all hands on deck all the time. Sex-segregated labor, where women get to enjoy being indoors while the man brings home the bacon, that is a product of modern prosperity. And the trans activists are fundamentally incorrect as well, because the history of women is one where millions upon millions of low-status women did menial labor alongside low-status men all across history. If having those interests makes you trans, then that would mean that most women in human history were actually closeted trans men, and that's fucking retarded. As always, the liberal centrist ideal, the golden mean, is the correct one here. The two extremes arrive at the same flawed position, when the actual truth is that we're all better off when we let people drift towards their natural proclivities. It's not oppressive if a woman chooses a traditional life over a more feminist one, and it's not degenerate if they choose the opposite either. Plus, tomboys are hot.
Leave the tomboys alone. Just stop meddling. Teach your classes and itinerary and shut up and go home.
You shouldn't be telling anyone what gender they feel, I guess.
Or lead them to it.
But you also shouldn't be using masculine or feminine traits to define their characteristics, because that's what we fought so hard to not do.
Yeah.
It's insane and it's sad.
Yeah, it's always sad, but that's how life goes. Anyway, like and subscribe to our channel. Join our memberships as well so you can get early access to our videos. Member shout out, Ruth, hey! Blue member, blue member, blue member, blue member.
I'm not gonna do that.
Okay, well, I just did. Because Ruth is special.
Yeah, she's the only blue member. Thanks, Ruth.
Thanks.